right, welcome back to the McLaughlin Brothers and Cousin Barry podcast. On the mics today, we have Jameson,
Sup?
Trail of Your Tears. We have Cousin Barry,
I'm not sure what to do with my hands.
the Doughboys,
Just gonna
and
put 'em
me,
at my side.
Kunkel D, Danny McLaughlin, the White Fox. Today, like last pod, we're going to start talking about RFL, the Genesis, again, and just kind of let Barry put his 2 cents in, see if Jameson remembers anything else. As he said, it was a hazy time back then.
Yeah, I'm not sure how Barry would have a better memory than B, but he
Right.
does somehow.
I guess I should say AKA Shaggy from those days.
Don't sleep on the mystery machine.
That's right. All right, so Barry, RFL year 1, Ball State. We know Jameson leading up to the draft rode his pink bike over with pegs, shocks,
I don't remember any of that, but
fell, slipped in the rain. But so, all right, first draft, what do you remember? Who was there? What was the first pick? Just kind of give me any little recollection you have of that day.
as it's been indicated, it's a little bit hazy, but I think we had 7 people. So there was the shift here. There was the me and JMO, the McDermotts were 4. Weaver 5. Montel was in that first year, 6.
Yep.
And then I did a little bit of fact checking, recollect with a few people, and Moose and Miz shared a team that year.
Oh, they shared a team.
The infamous Mizoose,
Okay.
Mizoose. So I think that was our 7.
So they shared a team, okay. And do you recall, Jameson thought Dan Marino was the first pick. Do you still stand by that, Jameson?
It's either Marino or Favre, if I remember correctly.
Do you recall?
I don't remember the first pick. I think it was probably Marino, but
He definitely remembers that second pick, though.
it wasn't the second pick. I was 4th or 5th probably. So
Barry
How
Foster.
whose idea was it? How did it even come about? Who called and said, "Hey guys, I kind of picture it being a McDermott joint."
oh yeah, it was it was definitely the McDermotts. I think the McDermotts and I had both heard about from somewhere fantasy football, different places, and we had talked about it one night that spring probably, and then that fall the McDermotts threw it together.
Because back then, Jameson, you remember at our house when Dad was done with the sports page, it was always like box scores. I remember when I was a kid, box scores were so important.
Yeah. I think that's how I learned to love sports and numbers, because I remember just going through baseball box scores. I mean, I remember loving baseball box scores back then. Didn't really look at football stuff too much. It was all baseball back then.
I agree with that. Yeah. I was a baseball card collector, baseball fan, and then, so fantasy football is a little bit my gateway into being a degenerate when it comes to NFL. Anyway, you guys,
Your gateway,
it was my gateway drug.
your gateway sport.
Yes. Just like Johnny Cash was my gateway into country music.
I think the McLaughlin gene was your gateway into the
Being a
the
degenerate,
degenerate gambler.
The Irishness in us.
the hooliganism.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Hey.
Aye, lads. All right, so 7 people, that's a weird number for a fantasy league, but we talked about last week, freaking D-Dog was the champion that year. What do you remember about the actual competition of the league that year? You guys remember anything at all?
Man, I barely remember it.
Oh, I mean, it was the Aquitaine draft. So, those
What do you
from,
mean by that?
Those from Muncie know Aquitaine, just the apartment that McDermott's and Weaver and Montel lived in with Stiglitz.
Yeah.
Scoot.
Yeah.
And I remember it was just tracked in the box score, and Debo or D-Dog just wrote it down on a little sheet of paper.
Right.
The standings, how many points that week, and what their grand total was for the year was just posted on the wall at the apartment.
Nice.
And
Okay.
then, of course, Debo's infamous 1-point week with Todd Peterson.
Well, you got 1 extra point.
No, he got
got
1
1
point.
I mean,
Total.
This was way back when you got 6 points for a touchdown, but you didn't get points for yardage until you got 100. Then it was 3, 4 bonus points.
Yeah.
Okay.
So none of his players got a touchdown. None of them got 100 yards.
Yeah.
Todd Peterson kicked an extra point. So,
For a 1.
so Devo will forever have the lowest point total week in the history of the RFL. 1.
1. So Jameson was saying last week that your first pick was not the greatest, or can you tell us about your first pick that year?
We're having some mic difficulties.
Well, yes, it was Barry Foster, as you touched on the last podcast. But
I told him we had no smartphones, nothing. Like, you literally had to watch ESPN.
And did I have cable? I don't know. I don't think so.
The only reason I had cable is because I still lived in the dorm, and I would go use my meal plan and eat breakfast, and they had ESPN Sports Center on all the TVs in there. So that's how I would get all my news.
I tried to go to one of the 4 computer labs on campus to do some research, and unfortunately all 90 computers back in 95 were taken. So
Back in the floppy disk days?
Yep.
Yeah. All right, any more before we close this chapter of the RFL for good? Any more memories from that year, or just even that era, I guess, we'll call it the Ball State years, which is really the genesis, or is the genesis of this league. Any more Ball State year memories that you guys want to share before we move on?
I mean, we can certainly go on for hours, and there's year 2 stories saved for another day.
Yeah.
What strikes me about that era, I went back and looked at some of those players that were drafted. Marino, per Jamie, Steve Young, a young Emmitt Smith, Jerry Rice.
Mm-hmm.
I think the 12th overall fantasy points in 1995 per the research was the original Cincinnati fantasy receiver.
Don't know.
Carl Pickens.
All right.
Carl Pickens. Yeah, if you go, I mean, like, it's almost 30 years now. Like, some of the players.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
They're not only a lot of those guys are not only retired, they're in the freaking Hall of Fame, right? Isn't Emmitt Smith in the Hall of Fame now?
Some of them are dead. Not even. I mean, we can go there. Like, some of them aren't even alive anymore that we were drafting back then. It's
gonna need to fact check that. Some of them are dead.
I mean, maybe not like offensive players, but defensive players from that era. Junior Seau, definitely dead.
Dead.
Yeah,
He gone.
yeah.
Rest in peace.
R.I.P. Junior.
R.I.P. That dude was a beast. All right, so as the years develop and more people are added to the league, who were the first? Okay, so you got the original 7 or 8 if you count Moose and Miz together. So 7 teams, 8 people. Obviously, at some point, Moose breaks off from the Miz and Moose combo and gets his own team, right? Miz actually wins year 2, 1996. Devo wins year 3, 97. Then the league goes from points into what we're calling the Roadie Bowl, which is the more traditional fantasy football that we play now. Is that accurate?
The head-to-head matchups, correct?
Yeah, okay. And so who won that year? Who won the inaugural Roadie Bowl? Anybody?
I think that was me.
Yeah, that was JMO.
Yeah.
Hey!
The worst champ there is, 1 championship.
Yeah.
That was a classic eggs in a basket championship as well. I think the only eggs in a basket championship there is.
Do explain.
Randy Moss, Leroy Horde, Randall Cunningham, all from the Minnesota Vikings.
You had Chris Carter, too.
Yes, Chris Carter.
Maybe
that year,
Kyle Rudolph, but he might not have been in the
No,
league.
he was definitely not in the league at that point. He may not even been at Notre Dame. But yeah, I had the entire Vikings offense except for Joe Reed, classic Minnesota Viking throwback.
You might have run 3 Viking receivers. I think that was the next year. You tried to run it back, and you're like, I'm going Joe Reed this year.
I would have taken Joe Reed.
With Chris Carter and Randy Moss.
I don't think I was able to get Randy Moss that following year, but that was a great year. I tried to run it back with the New Orleans Saints when I can't remember what that quarterback was. Joe Horn, somebody else. They had a quarterback that was run and gun. But yeah, that was eggs in a basket. It's never been done again. Just saying.
My first championship also had Randy Moss on the team as a New England Patriot.
Yeah. Terrell Davis was also my first pick in that year. That
and
was
Dallas Clark that year for me too. The 44, as Barry is, he's forever tied to the 44.
fact.
Yeah, I think I traded Big Brain for Dallas Clark that year, but that's another story for another day.
Surprise, Big Brain trading championship players away.
I talked to Big Brain today, and he's going to listen to this pod, and he will be on soon. So
Yeah.
stay tuned, roadies. Big Brain time coming.
I'm done.
He's not done.
Between football and baseball, the number of times that Brad quits the league, I set the over-under at 69.5 per year. So
Right. He quit 3 or 4 times last year. No.
3 or 4 times in a 1-week span.
Yeah.
I mean, and then 12 or 15 after that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, all right, early Ball State years. Anything else, you guys? No, Barry. No.
Negatory.
No, not too much from the early Ball State years.
Okay.
We'll come back around.
I mean, I wish you would have gotten to meet Dennis Burns because he's definitely one of the highlights from the Ball State years.
Play a hater.
Yeah. I was trying to remember what the trade was between him and Moose that just threw everyone into it basically created the trade deadline because of that.
Barry Sanders was definitely somewhere in the mix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a hot mess, whatever it was.
So Burns trading Moose, all these good players at the end of the year to try to win a championship and some sort of under the table agreement, like a sack of something or other or some cash,
some greenery.
Incentive. Who knows? Stay tuned. Maybe we could dig that story out of a McDermott someday.
And definitely ask the McDermotts about Big Burns Bingo Hall. That was always a good time.
Okay. All right. Big Burns Bingo Hall next week. All right. So RFL ends up turning into much more than an 8-person league. Do you guys remember, like, when it became 10? Did it go right from 8 to 12? I think I came in right around 2000, I want to say, like 4 or 5 years after you guys started it. You guys were home from college, but just. And I wasn't very good at first. Obviously, you guys used to tease me about drafting my team, and which was just bullshit. But
Per the last podcast, he had to have his sister help him,
yeah.
and I'm pretty sure she still drafts his team.
Yeah,
It's just between
course.
me and you, Barry.
Yay, sports. Anyway, all right. So the RFL turns into I don't know when it became a 14-man league, but basically what it started out as and what it became now is a situation where all of us grown men over the last 20 plus years have made total asses of ourselves, have gotten mad at each other, have so how did that happen? Anybody got any ideas on that? Any input?
Well, we did allow Tommy to join, which always adds a little bit of angst. Love you, Tommy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think you have 14 competitive people that hate to lose and love to talk shit. That is a recipe for some battles. I think some of our worst battles have been like draft night risk games. I think Barry and I almost killed each other one night after a risk game.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, anytime you have 14 dudes that like to do things and are competitive, you're gonna have.
Yeah, if there's a more competitive league, I'd like to see it.
Agree.
Yeah. Barry, any thoughts? I know you and I have had hours and hours of driving around Indianapolis in our sales jobs talking about the draft order and what people are going to do. And, what do you got?
I don't know. I don't look how far that's gotten me the last few years. So it's best to just turn up the radio and not do any mock draft.
Mock draft.
Who wants the mock?
As the season approaches this year, we'll get more into trends, if you will, like
Barry taking 5 running backs.
Yeah, I mean, the
Best available.
the hoarding of running backs needs to be discussed. I think you have a problem.
I think Jason Williams may have taken over Barry's habit of hoarding certain positions.
Right.
He's been very into I'm going to take 4 of these in a row, first 4 rounds.
Yeah.
Let's go.
All right, well that's enough RFL talk for right now. Anyway, let's transition into I don't know, probably my favorite topic right now. Been watching a lot of NBA playoffs, so I'm still kind of in that NBA mindset. Um, let's talk Tyrese Halliburton, boys. And I was just thinking, like, every time I see the guy's face or open up a pack of cards and get one of his cards or just read an article, man, he makes me, as Jamie would say,
Moist.
moist. Yeah, and disgusting, but awesome. So yeah, I've got a fuzzy feeling, man. I love the guy. I know we've only had him for like what, a year and a half, but does he make you feel like I'm talking about, boys?
He makes me very happy. To your point, every single time you see his face, he's smiling, man. He's having fun out there. He's a good dude. And you see him and you get happy.
Yeah, JMO.
I think the proof is in the pudding. When we had him last year, we were top 4 in the East. As soon as he goes out, we fall out of the playoffs completely. Like, yeah, he does
Jeez.
it for me because I like a winner, and he wins the right way. Like, he's not cocky, he's not brash, he just balls, and I love it.
Right. Well, you remember when we had PG, like those early years when we realized, oh my God, this guy's special, right? And I think
Meh.
it's even way different than that. Like I guess what I'm saying is he makes me feel like Reggie Miller used to make me feel. Like it's a feeling of hope that maybe we're going to be relevant again in a way that we make Eastern Conference Finals. You know, I think he's legit. He's just somebody that I can't wait to see how Pritchard builds around him. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not sure he gives me the Reggie Miller vibe yet. Like, until we make Eastern Conference Finals, things like that. Like, that's what Reggie did for us, but he definitely doesn't have the team around him that Reggie had. We need another
Not yet.
Duncan Dutchman. I mean, can we find one of those, please? It'd be amazing. But he's got the potential to be that guy. And like I said last week, I think the fact that he wants to be here, and you can kind of tell he's
Yes.
willing to stay here,
Yes.
unlike your boy Playoff P.
Yes.
That feeling does make me moist.
Mhm.
But, you know, he's an Iowa kid. He's from the Midwest, so
True.
I think he gets the Midwest. He likes the Midwest. Hopefully he's here for the rest of his career.
Seems like a guy who would have a preacher hype man.
Everybody needs a freaking preacher hype man.
They all don't understand the preacher hype, man. I mean,
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
praise God.
Amen.
Yeah, we talk. What's that kid's name? Downs. What's his first name?
Yes.
What's his first name?
Josh.
Josh Downs, Indianapolis Colts. If you haven't seen the video of him getting the phone call from Ballard and Irsay on draft day, look that up. It's classic. It's amazing. It makes you realize I'm excited about him too. He just seems like a quality kid, and as said, has a Jesus preacher hype man in the background just screaming hallelujah, praise God, and it's epic. You need to watch it.
I feel like when they do Madden ratings, if you had a preacher hype man in your draft video, you should get a +5. Like, that should be something that gets your Madden rating hype right there.
You need the V-Bucks to get that preacher hype, man. That costs a little bit of extra money.
It's V-Bucks. Danny probably doesn't even know what V-Bucks are. His kids are not our age.
What are V-Bucks, B-Ray?
I think you can buy Fortnite skins with V-Bucks. So
Fact.
Okay, all right, yeah. No, I'm the opposite of a gamer, whatever
Yeah.
that is.
Anti-gamer.
Anti-gamer. So Tyrese Halliburton, yeah, I'm in Reggie Miller mode. I am. I just have a feeling, man. And you know, this podcast isn't about. I'm not an expert on anything. I don't have inside connections. This is hot takes. And what I'm saying is, Tyrese Halliburton is gonna take us.
my next hot take.
Yeah, I mean, I just think he's great. And, you know, we have season tickets, and, like, he just brings such joy to watch, too, man. He's so creative. I just, like, when I know he's in the lineup and when I'm going to the game, I'm just so excited. And it literally makes me bet the over on his points, rebounds, assists every
Moist.
game. Moist. Cash in.
Like I said, when he played for us this year, we were number 4 in the East.
Yeah, that is true, man. I forgot about that.
He's a winner. He's going to make everyone on the floor better. He's a guy that is willing to sacrifice some of his game sometimes to get the other people involved. Like, he makes you better. Like, every team needs a guy like him. If we could just continue to surround him with talent, I think so far what I've seen from Pritchard, he does decent in the draft. Like, I think Matherin's going to be a hit. We have the 7th pick this year. If we can hit on that, you have 3 really young, good players with Turner and the other pieces we've got. Plus,
Turner.
We're about to have a lot of expiring contracts. You have some contracts you could trade, like we talked about Buddy Hield. So the Pacers could make moves this year if they really wanted to, and there's a player here that other players will want to play with.
Yeah, he is that. I agree. Because he can score. I mean, the kid, can put up 30. It seems like pretty easy. Gets to the hole, shoots the 3. But, like, my favorite part about his game is the dimes, dude. Like, just the dimes. He's so creative. And I mean, doesn't it seem like he's a double-double waiting to happen every game if he puts his mind to it?
I agree.
He should be. I mean, he's averaging 10 assists per game, so.
I feel like he should absolutely remake the Kevin Love dropping dimes commercial at some point in his career. One of the best
That is
TV commercials ever with Kevin Love with a little kid body throwing dimes all over people. It was amazing.
Speaking of commercials and speaking of playoff P, do you remember that Gatorade commercial where he was hitting that last-second shot to win the game?
Yeah, the one that he'd never hit in his life before.
The only one he had ever hit his whole entire life up until that point with, 8 years with the Pacers? 6, 8 years with the Pacers?
Fact.
Hit one game-winning shot, and that was on a Gatorade commercial.
It's pathetic. His game-winning percentage was literally 0, right, with the Pacers?
Correct.
He left, and next year Oladipo came in and had like 4 within the first half of the season. Like, quadrupled anything he ever did.
Has there been a player that's crashed and burned as hard as Oladipo in the last couple of years?
Jeez, he got hurt again. It's sad. I loved him. Like when he was, what was he, 2nd or 3rd team All NBA when he was with the Pacers that one year. Had the video that came out where he looked like a flabby middle school kid, and then all of a sudden he's just jacked and taking it to the hole and making acrobatic layups and just incredible. But can I just say, he did not, even with all that, make me feel like Tyrese Halliburton does.
Moist.
Well, all right, talking about what we're surrounding him with, we as in me and Pritchard and Jameson and Barry, obviously.
I mean, Danny has had a picture taken with Pritchard, so they're basically besties.
I'll try to put that on the on the video for the YouTube.
Yeah, as well as the Carlisle picks. We have had a few words with Carlisle.
Oh, that's right.
We're on the end. It's all good.
It is all good. Team night, obviously dropping some knowledge on Carlisle.
And there was, just pivoting here a little bit, but I remember that one night you guys went to a Pacers game without me and saw Eddie White on the way in and then said, Eddie, hey, can you give a shout-out to the Center Grove boys on the way back?
No, the McLaughlin brothers.
Yes, the McLaughlin boy, and then Eddie White in true Eddie White fashion gives the shout-out at the post-game radio show.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Nailed it.
Well, we said, hey, will you tell Boyle we said hi from the McLaughlin brothers? And Eddie White did just that and then some. It was amazing.
And then, of course, Boyle was like, whatever, man.
We don't talk about the
I don't want to talk about those fans. I love Mark Boyle.
So one more thing on Halliburton. We have him next year for $5 million. 5.8. And then after that is qualifying offer $7 million. So isn't it I mean, wouldn't you say that at some point next year we rework that deal, we give him the big one?
Guaranteed.
Absolutely.
No-brainer. That's how that usually works, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So we re-sign him next year, then I'll feel comfortable and happy. And, I'm not a jersey guy, but I might get a jersey then.
I see the Butterbot. He probably shouldn't be a jersey
Dude,
guy.
freaking jacked. I don't even know what you're talking about. All
He
right.
he was looking in my direction, Danny.
Yeah, I'm buying it for me, not Barry.
Yeah.
All right, so talking about what we should surround him with. Let's talk a little. Let's talk a little Matherin. Give me your thoughts on Matherin, like just right off the top of your head. What's he make you think?
Baller.
Yeah, Matherin's, I like to talk shit. If anyone who's ever met me knows that. Matherin seems like he's my type of dude where he's just brash,
Totally.
doesn't give a crap, is going to talk about it. But the nice thing about him is he comes out and backs it up, too. Like, he shows no fear for a rookie. I think he got a little bit tired at the end of the year last year.
Yeah.
But at the beginning of the year, Matherin was, he was in the talk for the rookie of the year with Paolo.
That's true. Yeah.
I think we have a winner with him. He's built for the NBA. He's got the NBA body. He could shoot the ball from three. The only thing is he's Canadian. Can't help that.
He is
but
Canadian.
You betcha.
The Canucks have got a nasty little national team now. Just saying. I mean,
Who else is Canadian?
Are we talking about hockey or soccer? Because yes, they do have a sick Canadian national hockey team.
yeah, isn't all right, I'll look it up here in a minute. But all right, so Matherin, do you agree? In my opinion, he's got that factor, that it thing that you can't coach, you can't teach, that you're just born with. Where, like, I remember one game last year, we were losing, we were clearly gonna lose, and it was like a minute or two left, and he was still trying to make steals, and the guy on the other team was like, "What are you doing?" He said, "The game's not over yet." You know, and like he's got that dog in him, is what they say.
Yeah, he definitely does. He's in your face. I love it. I think we also got a steal with Nembahard. I think he's got NBA game for sure.
Oh yeah.
And he's another one that isn't afraid to take a big shot. He beat the Lakers in L.A. with a last-second three.
Golden
He's hit
State game.
Hit as many as Paul George did in his career.
Again.
So, yeah, I think we're looking good. It's the wings. We really need to start focusing on some wing players.
Right.
Because we that's where we struggle. Because I think with Turner, we have an inside presence. We have some young inside players as well. We definitely need some wings.
Wings. Hashtag wings. So I'm going to run down I'll run down the roster here, say a name. You tell me your 1 or 2 sentence thoughts on him and whether we should keep him or try to move him. Ready? Miles Turner?
Keeper.
Yeah, we just signed him. You got to keep him.
Yeah, me personally, I think he makes another big jump this year. If he stays healthy, I'm going to go ahead and say at least first team all defense, if not defensive player of the year.
I don't know how has he ever been on an all defensive team?
No,
and that's a sham because he's.
Were we talking about that, or was it you and I talking about that?
I think we were talking about it, but he's like top 3 in blocks almost every year, and the fact he's never been on an all defensive team is pretty stupid.
Mm-hmm. All right, so Barry, how does Miles Turner make you feel?
He makes me feel frustrated.
Okay, honesty, Jameson.
I like Turner. I think he gets a raw deal. He takes a lot of flack from the fans. Mm-hmm. Like he'll take the brunt of a lot of things. I wish he would rebound better. Mm-hmm. But I think in today's NBA, he's definitely a very good big man. He can protect the rim and hit threes at a decent clip. Mm-hmm. We could use that.
Yeah.
That plays.
I'm impressed with him. He's been here for a long time now, but he's really been a kind of a class act for all the shit he's gone through as far as with Sabonis and with always talked about being traded and stuff. I feel like he's just been a pro, as far as keeping his mouth shut, working. I wish he wasn't hurt as much as he is, but you can't help that. But yeah, I think he's turned into quite a pro. I think this is a big year for him. All right, next guy, Buddy Hield. Barry, how does he make you feel?
I love it when Buddy's shooting the three. I feel like it's going in every single time.
No doubt.
And it's going to be hard to replace something like that. In a perfect world, I want to see Tyrese, Miles Turner, and Buddy Hield do it together.
Nice.
He makes me feel like a trade asset.
I mean, which he is that.
Yeah, he's a massive trade asset, especially this year in his last. This is his last year with us under contract, correct? It's like $23 million
yes.
bucks.
Yeah, he's an expiring this year, so 19.2 this year.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's
pretty. I mean, for what he can, he's a sniper, man. I mean, that's
still $20 million on your salary cap.
true. But
Yeah.
we're 29th in the league in salary right now, so it's not like we can't afford him.
Yeah, fact. But does he want to stay here? That's the other thing you have to worry about with somebody like Buddy Hield. That's always been talked about going to L.A., different places like that. Does he want to stay here?
He will take the Tyrese Halliburton discount.
You think so?
Oh, yeah.
He loves playing with him.
He loves playing with Tyrese.
Yeah.
Tyrese makes him so much better than he really is. But
That's true. That's a good way to look. I mean, and for Tyrese to have an outlet like that to drop those dimes to, I mean, he's the most prolific three-point shooter in the league behind Steph Curry, is he not?
I'm not sure about that.
Fact check.
Yeah, we don't.
I'm pretty sure. Like if you Google who has scored the most three-pointers, say in the last 3 years, look that up and get back to me.
he's probably in the lead with Steph being hurt so much.
Da. Next on the list, Barry. What do you think about Daniel Tice?
He's a difference maker for some teams, somewhere, sometime.
Yeah. I never realized until he was on our team and played like the 10 games he played last year how big he is. Like he's a big dude, man. I mean, he's a legit real center. And he can shoot okay, right?
Last 3 years, Steph Curry 895 threes, Buddy Hield 859. Third place,
Boom.
679. So you're 183 drop off down to Jason Tatum.
Quick math.
Mental
Jamie.
midget.
Yeah. So
Jason Tatum.
just dropping knowledge on you guys. Thank you for fact checking that.
I know what it takes to win a championship now.
So we have
Jason Tatum.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
It takes us
Down
getting
3-0.
destroyed by Jimmy Butler.
So we have Tice on the books for this year and next, and in 2 years it's a
Ain't
team.
nothing wrong with that.
No, it's a team option the next year, so we could cut him after this year if we wanted.
Bleh.
All right, next guy. What do you think about Tice? You just
He doesn't do it for me.
Okay. So later,
The German.
do you guys remember the Birdman, that dude that had all those weird
Yes.
tats and stuff?
How do you forget the Birdman?
I don't know.
What was his real name? Chris Anderson? Is that right?
That sounds right.
Birdman. Birdman. What? He was Miami Heat guy, right?
He was Miami Heat. He played for a couple different
Ugh,
teams.
He was annoying. All right, so speaking of annoying players that you only love if they're on your team, TJ McConnell. Boys, how does he make you feel?
He's not going to be around for anything that the Pacers do in the next few years.
Okay. Let's
Yeah, he's getting long in the tooth. Like,
Oh!
He's not part of the. He's been great. I mean, I love the guy more than anyone.
I
but
do too.
He's
serviceable.
What is the one thing you can
the
count
best
on?
backup point guard in the league.
One thing you can count on from TJ McConnell almost every game is?
The backcourt steal.
Yeah, that's right, Barry. That's right, Barry. All right, we already talked about Mr. Benedict Mathurin. Any other thoughts on him? I was saying, I think to one of you guys are in our notes leading up to this, that Mathurin kind of, and this is a hot take, but that's what I do. He reminds me of Jimmy Butler. Okay, he reminds me. He's got that dog. He reminds me of Butler. Now he's not as skilled as Butler,
Yeah.
obviously, yet. All right.
I think it took Jimmy Butler 3 or 4 years before he
Yeah.
really started to take off.
Where do y'all remember where Jimmy Butler started out?
Shite out.
Yeah.
Thibodeau.
Way to let him go, Chi-Town. Of course, Chi-Town let him go. Minnesota didn't want him. And I was listening to some podcasts this week, and I guess in Philly, it's not that they didn't want him, but he
Did not want Philly. He hated Ben Simmons.
he hated their work ethic, and he basically thought they, after being there a year, he thought they were a joke, which I can't speak to that, but it seems like he would know, yes. Next on the list, a fan favorite, Always good in the post in video games. Sticks. How does Jalen Smith make you feel?
Underwhelmed.
Barry loves Sticks. Go ahead, Barry. We'll give you the floor for 5 minutes. Tell us what you feel about Sticks.
5 minutes to talk about Sticks. That's I'm going to string this one along a little bit, but
Yeah. Do you like Sticks though? Does he have a place on this team?
I'm glad that Sticks was given a chance to start in the NBA, and well, it didn't quite work out. So,
Yeah.
but I think he's definitely, who said it? Serviceable.
Serviceable.
Or that was McConnell was serviceable.
Yeah. So a little story from Barry and I went to the fan appreciation night this year, and the players are all walking around and talking to you and stuff. You can take pictures with them, what have you. And Halliburton and Buddy Hield, right, were sitting down in this area where you could play NBA 2K. And so they're sitting there playing, and Sticks is standing off to the right of Halliburton just watching him. And and Halliburton kept in the game. He was playing the Pacers, and he kept posting in the game, posting Sticks up down low, and he was like talking shit and smack about, get it down low to Sticks, get it down. Sticks was like, why you got to do that? Why you got to be like that, man?
ISO Sticks.
ISO Sticks, yeah, that's right. And you could just tell, though, that Halliburton is beloved by them, and and that seems like they had a pretty good relationship. And then Buddy was just, what was Buddy doing? Just hype manning.
Buddy was just sitting there chilling, kind of, not really paying attention to much of what was going on.
Yeah.
And Sam was trying to get that autograph. He's like, buddy, buddy,
Yeah.
buddy. And then that kid with the basketball came up and said, don't call him buddy. Go up there and say, hey, Mr. Hield, sir.
Exactly.
And Sam went up and said, hey, Mr. Hield, sir. Hey,
And he
turns
signed.
around and signs the card.
Nice. Yeah. Sam, Barry's
Put some
Barry's
respect
son.
on my name.
That's right. Mr. Hield, sir. All right. This one, I just don't know. Like, so this guy, back to that same night, we see this guy, and he was one of the most engaging. And like from that night, I was most impressed by this guy, Chris Duarte. Go.
I love Duarte. He was out, over half the season last year, injured. He's old already. Like, I think he's going to be, 26, 27 next year?
Is he really?
Yeah, he was old when we drafted him. But he could shoot. He's another guy that can shoot. He could play a little bit of D. Like, I don't think you can have enough. I said a little bit. I didn't say a lot. He plays almost as he plays about as much as Buddy Hield plays, but he doesn't shoot like Buddy Hield yet. But I think you can never have enough three-point shooters in these games. He's somebody to come off the bench and play 15 minutes, 20 minutes a night.
Maybe that, yeah. But the days of thinking he's the savior, starting lineup, starting five guy, those are over, don't you think?
I agree. I think he comes off our bench, and he's very good coming off the bench.
I mean, I hope he proves me wrong. He's only been in the league, 2 years? Something like that? Is it
Correct.
2 years, or is it? This will be 3, right? Yeah. What do you think? Duarte, yay or nay, B-Ray?
I mean, I don't see him as part of this team 3 or 4 years down the road, but
Right.
who knows?
Neesmith. Aaron Neesmith.
Rock solid.
Yeah.
Okay.
He, from last year anyway, proved to be probably, outside of Miles, one of our best defenders.
Yeah, he can defend. He gets a little. If he hits his first shot
Yeah.
in a game,
Yeah.
I get a little bit nervous because there's more
Yeah.
coming after that.
Heat check.
Yeah,
Yeah.
two in a row. It's definitely going to be a heat check.
He's
for
a good
Neesmith.
defender though. Plus, I do have a rookie autograph card of his, so I kind of need him to do well.
Always goes back to the cards.
It always does, doesn't it? All right. What about we have Jordan Nwora next year? He is an expiring contract, but we're only paying him $3 million. That seems like a steal. But do you think Pritchard will rework a contract with him and maybe something? He could be a nice bench guy, right? Or were you unimpressed with his time here?
I think we'll have a 4 with the 7 pick in the draft, and then we'll have Nwora and evaluate the two of them. And if that 4 that we draft at 7 is the guy, then you can let Nwora walk.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Um, can you look up Jameson blocks from last year, the block leaders in the league? Because this next guy, Isaiah Jackson, I think, Barry, you and I were talking at a game, like he played very little, but he was still up in the top, 10 in blocks or something?
I think so, averaging like 12 minutes a game and top 10 in the league in total number of blocks.
Yeah. So how do you feel about his long-term prospects here?
Like most of them, I mean, it's really about Halliburton, Miles for the next couple of years, and Matherin. After that, I mean, anybody's tradable, expendable.
Sure.
I mean,
Yeah, I don't know how many games he played, but Isaiah Jackson had 93 blocks, number 16 in the league.
Okay. I thought he was higher than that.
I mean, at some point he might have been. He didn't play much in the back half of the season.
No.
He needs to put on some bulk. Like I
Mhm.
feel like the wind could blow him over. That's not gonna work down low in the NBA even
Yeah.
today. Like he's athletic, but he brings zero offensive game.
it's we can get that same sort of exact player at the end of the first round with these 2 picks we have.
Yeah.
Agree.
Totally. So yeah, he is
Zach Edey.
after next year. We're only paying him 2.6 next year, so he will be on the roster next year. But then after that, it's a team option, and then after that, it's a qualifying offer. So I'll be curious after next year if we just let him walk or if we trade him or something. But
I mean,
it depends on how he
He does
develops.
have one less block than Rudy Gobert, who the
right?
T-Wolves traded like
Wow.
their future for. Correct.
That's maybe the worst
Wasn't
trade.
Rudy Gobert the COVID ground zero?
Do explain.
Yes, he was. He was the first. He had a mic, and he was basically like licking the mic, making fun of COVID. And the next day,
Oh, COVID.
Mic drop.
yeah, the next.
I thought you said Kobe. I'm
It
sorry.
did sound like Kobe, but it was COVID.
COVID.
Yeah,
Hashtag.
he was just making a fool of himself, and then infected the whole Utah Jazz.
Thanks, France.
Wasn't it Donovan Mitchell that wanted to kill him after that? Like they legit almost.
Yeah,
had
I
blows.
think him and Donovan Mitchell probably did not like each other very much. Last guy we already talked about a little bit, Nemhard.
I love Nimble.
I do too, and the fact that we're literally have him for 3 more years at no more than $2 million a year. I mean, please.
Steal.
Poor man's Halliburton.
Woo. Hello. All right, that's pretty much in my. There's other guys, but they're not worth going through. So, Turner, Heald, Tice, McConnell, Matherin, Jalen Smith, Halliburton, Duarte, Neesmith, Nuara, Isaiah Jackson, Nemhard. That's what we're going into next year. And then we can talk roster again after the draft and see. I have a feeling we'll make some moves, don't you? I mean, pick up. Hopefully somebody wants to come here and play with Halliburton. Somebody, middle, I guess the free agency is kind of booty this year. I was looking at that a little bit, but so, yeah. So let's move on and so let's move to let's bookend this episode with some more RFL talk. And what I had in my notes, just because I think it's one of the unique things about our league and one of the things that makes people crazy and, is point of contention a lot of times is the trades in our league. In my opinion, I've been in other leagues, a lot of other leagues, and this league, oh my God, we did a little math. Barry, what was the total on trades last year? How many did everyone except Brain make?
125.
And how many did Brain make?
97.
Okay, so those two numbers, 125, 13 people, 97, one person. What has happened is Big Brain is a broker. He is the broker of the league. I mean,
He's
honestly,
like a Russian arms dealer.
he is like a Russian arms dealer. He's like the dealer, the death dealer. Didn't we just trade a WNBA player for
We
the death
did.
dealer?
Absolutely. I feel like next American superstar that gets jailed in Russia will be sending Big Brain back.
Right.
Sounds like a fair trade.
It does, yes. So, I don't know, guys. What do you think about this unique dynamic of our league where where a lot of the roads that cross through our league go through Big Brain. I know I've been there. What about you guys? What do you think?
I can't tell you the number of times that I've thought I need this certain position or this certain guy to help my team. And rather go to the person that actually has that player, I go to Brad to see, can you go get this guy for me and then flip him over to me? And it's, he's done it more than once or twice. So.
AKA Russian arms dealer. I think any fantasy sports trading is where fights can really start, because if even one person in the league thinks something's unfair, they'll start to bitch and complain.
Sure.
I think we've had to approve trades in the past. It's made people quit our league in the past.
There is technically a rule on the books that limit the amounts of trades to something like 25 or 30 per person, per owner.
Well,
per
that
year.
needs to be struck from the books because it's not being enforced.
It's clearly an antiquated law.
I thought back from the EI days that there was a rule where if you traded a player off your roster, he couldn't show back up on your roster until, 2 or 3 weeks or something like that, right?
And that rule is still technically on the books, too.
Oh, it is.
It
okay.
is. And it
Yeah,
should
and-
be enforced.
And
That
honestly,
one should be.
I'm not bringing this up to say that I think there's shenanigans. I just think it's unique. I just think it's I don't know how it happened, or I just because Brad's willing and he's connected to all of us. He's got an in with everybody in the league, and so I'm not even saying that I don't like it. I just think it's weird and unique.
I think Brad's just willing to do it more than anyone else. And if you call him, like you can call Brad and be confident you can get something done if you really want to get it done. And if he says, I feel comfortable if I agree over the phone with a trade with Brad that it'll get proposed the way we agreed it. I can't say that I would have that same feeling with the whole league, but I remember many times just having a discussion with Brad. You want to make a trade? And we've agreed over the phone, and literally 10 seconds later, here's that trade, and we get her done. So
right.
Brad's
I've had that
quick
happen
to
too.
do it as well.
Both ways.
Trade.
Shows up on your text, email, and then you're like, okay, let's do it. And you wait 10 minutes later, and what does the next text say? Anybody?
2 for 1.
No. Barry? I'm scarred. Or scared.
I'm scared.
Why don't you love me?
Yeah. Why don't you love me? Yeah. Yeah. So, and obviously there's, 2 or 3 guys in the league that are where Brad and them trade more, what was it? Him and Vassallo obviously are just spending hours discussing trades with each other. And it's funny where they'll do a deal which is similar to something that I've talked about with him, and it's like, I don't know, him and I seem to, as much as anybody, have a hard time striking a deal. But it seems like we do get 1 or 2 done a year. But I'm a little less willing a trade partner, I think, than some of his other buddies in the league. Barry, I think you're. I don't know what it is. That's McLaughlin's are just always very. I don't know if we're conservative or just skeptical. What is it about us that we just trade less than everyone else? You think?
It's stingy about it.
That's what do you think everyone else in the league would say? Why?
Stingy about it.
Yeah. Jamison, what do you think?
Yeah, I think stingy. Conservative, I think, is a really good word. Like, I know we all three have a big, we have faith in our research and what we do, and I'm a big believer. Like, you look at these guys' stats, and it's over the course of a season. It's not 3 weeks, and so I like to look at it and try to get those season stats. But shit, I haven't won a first-round game in so long. Maybe I need to just become big brain.
Well, I will say, man, Big Brain is a wizard when it comes to like trading into a good week.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like picking up guys that he thinks are going to have a big week, and I'm not sure that that's the strategy that obviously he hasn't won a championship yet, so I don't know if that's a strategy that ultimately wins you a championship. But as far as like having to play him on a week-to-week basis during the first 10 or 11 weeks when he can trade, it's tough, man. He trades into a nice team almost every week.
Yeah, it's definitely a different way than us three would approach it. But he does get it done. He's just got to master, like, all right, here's the trade deadline. Are these guys going to be good now for the next 5 to 6 weeks? Because you can't trade after a certain point, and then you're stuck.
True. Barry?
Agreed.
Same.
Same. Ditto. Ditto. When you say ditto, I kind of picture you like doing pottery or something. Like Ghost.
It feels to me like Brad should invest all those trade dollars into those daily fantasy lineups.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually, he is so good at figuring out a week-to-week thing. Does he do daily fantasy?
Yeah, I don't believe so.
Yeah.
He should. He'd probably crush it.
Yeah, no doubt. No
He need to
doubt.
just start picking brains mine for, hey, what are you going to do on DFS this week?
Yeah.
Just copy his weekly line. Everybody you just traded for that week, just put him in your DFS.
Yeah. So I guess we could discuss this on pod. What do you guys think that this year, rolling into the season? Obviously, we'll do a draft pod, of course. What a draft lottery pod. Once we know the order of everyone's drafting, we'll do a pod. Yes. After the draft, yes,
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
and then a pre-cap and a pre-cap and a recap of each week, and which would, I guess, include at some point the waiver wires and trades for the week.
Sounds good to me. Sounds
Yeah.
good to me. What we'll have to have Big Brain on just to recap his own trades. It sounds
Yeah,
like.
of
So.
course. Yeah, I
mean,
can't
we
wait.
can definitely have a weekly big brain segment.
Yeah, no, yeah, that might for sure. If he's willing to come down here, we'll just do like a 15, 20 minute like recap of what he can just kind of have a monologue, if even
I think he only lives like 15 minutes away max. Right?
he does. Yeah, he lives in Bella Vista.
Oh yeah, that's easy.
So
Stop at the Sam's Club for me, Brad, before you come.
right, pick up some peanut butter pretzels.
Chicken breast.
Nathan's all beef hot dogs.
Hello. All right, well, get watching here. Nuggets, Lakers getting ready to tip, so I'm gonna watch that. And you guys have anything else to add, RFL wise or Pacers wise, before we sign off?
Nope.
The family that podcasts together
Stays together.
stays together.
Amen.
No doubt. Amen. Yeah.
Love you guys. I love everybody.
Love you too.
Bye.
Bye.